I can.
All right. We have a quorum. We are ready to roll.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Our virtual meeting of the MAG Management Committee is called to order. Melissa, can you take a roll call vote for us, please? A roll call.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Management Committee. I'll go down a list of members by member agency. Please unmute and indicate if you're present or serving as proxy if not already indicated. Bryant Powell.
I'm here.
Thank you. Shirlene Pinella.
Here.
Roger. Oh, thank you. Roger Klingler.
I'm here.
Thank you. Gary Neese. Joshua Wright.
I'm here.
Thank you. Crystal Dykes.
Good morning.
Thank you. Brent Billingsley.
Present.
Thank you. Grady Miller.
Here.
Thank you. Kathy Valenzuela. Patrick Banger. Jack Friedline.
Present.
Thank you. Jeff Kulaga.
Present.
Thank you. Matthew Williams.
Present.
Thank you. Joy Rich.
Here.
Thank you. Nathan Steele. Chris Brady.
Here.
Thank you. Jill Kymack.
Here.
Thank you. Jeff Tyne.
Here.
Thank you. Ed Zerker. Is anyone on from Pinal County? John Cross.
Here.
Thank you. Scott Smith.
Here.
Thank you. Jim Thompson. Mike Frazier.
Here.
Thank you. Andrew Ching.
Present.
Thank you. Reyes Medrano. Vince Lorfeis. Jean Blackman.
Here.
Thank you. Jody Rooney.
I'm here.
Thank you. And our chairwoman is present. I think I also saw Patrick Banger enter.
Yes, here.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that I missed? A quorum is present.
All right. Thank you. Please remember to unmute your device before speaking and to set it to mute when you are not speaking to create a positive experience for all attendees. Also remember that the chat function is disabled since the public cannot see chat communications. Item 2 is a call to the audience. Members of the public were asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website. Comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour prior to the posted start time for the meeting. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. MAG staff, have we received any public comments? If so, please read them at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. We received no public comments for the call to the audience item or any other item on the agenda.
Thank you. We will move on to agenda item number 3, Executive Director's Report. Eric Anderson will provide.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we go to the next slide? I just have one item for you today. This week, on June 6th, was National Secure Your Load Day. This is really important. If you look at that second bullet there, in 2020, there were 1,000 accidents in Arizona and 7 deaths related to debris or things falling out of back of trucks and things like that. So really important that we continue to message this, that it's important that people secure their loads. And so we don't have obviously trash and other things along the freeways, but also it really can cause serious accidents and fatalities. So once again, every year we talk about this, we remind people that it's really important to secure your load. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Please contact Eric after the meeting if you have any questions regarding his report. We will move on to item 4, approval of the consent agenda. Items 4A through 4O are on the consent agenda, and we have an update on item 4N, support for RAISE grant applications. Valley Metro is withdrawing consideration of support for their RAISE grant submission, and unless there are questions or comments, the remaining consent agenda, minus the Valley Metro application, is being presented for approval. Does any member of the management committee have questions or like a presentation on any of the consent agenda items? Could I have a motion to recommend approval of consent agenda items 4A through 4O?
Madam
This
Chair,
is Brady.
So moved.
Second. Roger.
All right, I think I had a first from Grady and a second from Roger.
Okay.
Is there discussion of the motion? Melissa, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'll call your name. Please indicate how you vote on the motion for the record. Brian Powell.
Yes.
Thank you. Shirlene Pinella.
Yes.
Thank you. Roger Klingler.
Aye.
Thank you. Gary Neese. Joshua Wright.
Aye.
Thank you. Crystal Dykes.
Aye.
Thank you. Brent Billingsley.
Aye.
Thank you. Grady Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. Kathy Valenzuela. Patrick Banger. Jack Friedline. Jeff Kulaga.
Aye.
Thank you. Matthew Williams.
Aye.
Thank you. Joy Rich.
Aye.
Thank you. Chris Brady.
Aye.
Thank you. Jill Kymack.
Aye.
Thank you. Jeff Tyne.
Aye.
Thank you. Ed Zerker.
Yes.
Thank you. John Cross.
Aye.
Thank you. Scott Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Is anyone on from Scottsdale? Mike Frazier.
Aye.
Thank you. Andrew Ching.
Yes.
Thank you. Reyes Madrano. Vince Lorifeiss. Jean Blackman.
Yes.
Thank you. Jody Rooney.
Yes.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. That consent agenda carries unanimously.
Item 5 is an update on the development of a new regional transportation plan. MAG Transportation staff, Audra Kester-Thomas, will provide a report.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Members of Management Committee, pleased to be with you to present the latest developments associated with the development of the new regional transportation plan to inform the extension of Proposition 400. A lot of activity, a lot of movement since our last meeting, and I'm excited to provide an update. Next slide. So, as you are aware, back at the end of April and into May, we presented 4 fiscally constrained scenarios, 2 half-cent scenarios, 2 1-cent sales tax scenarios, to provide an opportunity to weigh trade-offs associated with different funding levels or composition of projects and programs. Upon presenting those through the month of May, as well as doing public engagement, we have received direction from TPC to use as a starting point the system optimization half-cent scenario to develop from. The request and direction given to MAG staff at the May TPC meeting was to the best of our ability, accommodate member agency priorities that perhaps were missing from that half-cent system optimization scenario. And therefore, a request was made that member agencies articulate any priorities missing from the half-cent system optimization scenario and provide those to MAG by May 28th for consideration. MAG did receive letters from all of you and reviewed those priorities as expressed in those letters and turned around for Transportation Policy Committee's consideration last Friday 2 new revised scenarios, one at 0.6 of a cent at 20 years, so increasing the flow of revenue into the region, and then a half-cent scenario at 25 years, which is a longer duration of the tax term. Next slide. Today's presentation will focus on the activities that have occurred since our last meeting. We will provide a brief update on the Management Committee RTP work group, specifically touch on the bus operating assistance guiding principles, which we presented at that May meeting of the work group, was included as part of an agenda packet as well. We will provide an update on the public engagement activities and some of the themes that we have heard to date, and then spend the remainder of today's presentation reviewing the 2 new scenarios which we developed and presented to TPC last Friday. Next slide. So we'll briefly touch on the bus operating assistance guiding principles. Next step, or next slide. So much more information is included in the agenda packet and the accompanying memo, but just from a high level overview, as you all know, we prepared our assumptions based on a continuation of that baseline funding coming out of Proposition 400. Last fall, you all made it very clear that we should consider as a floor the bus operating assistance provided in Proposition 400 and ensure its continuation into the extension. We have codified that as a recommendation, but have also added additional funding for consideration for bus operations. And what we have done is presented our assumptions to allocate that additional funding above the floor or baseline coming out of Proposition 400 based on a formula approach, recognizing we still have scarce regional resources to dedicate to bus transit and therefore incentivizing decisions that allocate that funding to the areas of highest transit demand. Therefore, the two variables that would be evaluated for this formula are revenue miles and boardings. We articulate the process and composition. We even illustrate those examples in the aforementioned memo. I will note in this slide, you'll see highlighted here, direction from Transportation Policy Committee to MAG last Friday was to work to find potential for inclusion of circulators, local circulators in this formula-based approach. At that direction, MAG will be responding and presenting that information to TPC at its regular meeting next week. Next slide. Wanted to also provide to you an update on public engagement to date. Next slide. Well, we've been meeting with many of you, your staff, certainly taking this information through our policy committee process over the course of the last 6 weeks or so. We've also been engaging in public engagement. As you know, we've leveraged heavily our virtual engagement setting, building out a website that included an interactive mapping component, as well as additional information associated with these 4 scenarios. We've had tremendous response. We hosted 6 different formal virtual meetings, as you'll see here in a photograph. We ensured to provide simultaneous American Sign Language as well as Spanish translation at all of those events, attempting to further mitigate and minimize barriers to access our public engagement efforts. We had live chat sessions where folks could meet with or chat with our planning team. We haven't turned down a single opportunity to present to a civic group or organization. We've met with many of your youth councils and certainly have had a tremendous amount of feedback. We are wrapping all of this information up into a formal public engagement report that also includes feedback that we've received from resource agencies, as is required by federal regulation. We invited our federal agency partners and other interests in transportation to learn more about our scenarios and also provide feedback and updates from their own agencies that may be relevant to our long-range transportation planning process. As noted, all of this information will be wrapped up into a formal summary report for which we will distribute. Next slide. Just a high-level summary of some of those themes, however. We continue to hear an emphasis on expanded and improved transit. It remains a priority for members of the public, and especially those who participated in our meetings. Active transportation, those bicycle and pedestrian investments, as well as technology and safety investments, are identified as high priorities of the public. Overall, there's just strong support for a diverse portfolio of multimodal investments that do include deliberate, but not a reliance on freeway capacity investments. High level of attention to matters of equity, especially when we meet with civic groups and organizations, certainly themes that were present in our public meetings as well. Keen eyes on ways to improve environmental sustainability and ensure that livability outcomes are tangent to our transportation decisions. And as noted before, people see the value in increasing the tax rate over a half cent. There is a tremendous amount of support for increased transportation investments in this region. Next slide. So we'll now move on to the 2 new revised scenarios for which MAG produced. Next slide. Just a few notes before we dive into some of the details. As MAG developed these two new revised scenarios, we accommodated to the greatest extent possible your expressed priorities. We have included and distributed all the letters that we did receive for request and accommodation. We did have a few instances where we were waiting on the latest parametric cost estimates for projects. We rolled those latest cost estimates into the documentation and scenario information for which we distributed. All project cost estimates are now considered final. We've received a significant number of questions surrounding arterial projects and the arterial program in particular over the course of the last several weeks. Just want to remind all of us that this planning effort, this long-range planning effort, and the funding decisions we're making this summer are focused on investment strategies and cash flow that begins January 1st of 2026 and beyond. That means arterial projects and others will not be eligible for reimbursement unless they are started on or after January 1st of 2026. And this final bullet is very important also to acknowledge. While some of those projects will be in the first 5 years of the program, 2026 to 2030, depending on a 20 or 25-year program, there's still going to be projects that are in those final years. And so it's important to remember we make our phasing decisions based on cash flow. And that means we don't get all the funding in January 1st of 2026. That cash flow takes throughout the duration of our term, and projects will be layered in accordingly. We are now working on phasing of projects and attempt to prepare that information for discussion next week at our TPC meeting. Next slide. I'll present to you here the new revenue projections associated with these two new revised scenarios. The 6/10 cent is a 20-year duration. We are increasing the proportion of investment. We are increasing the revenue, and therefore you see a higher amount of sales tax, $17.9 billion estimated for a 6/10 rate. For the half-cent 25-year, we are not changing the rate of the tax. We are just extending its term to 25 years. Overall, the 6/10 at 20 years delivers a $31.2 billion portfolio, a half-cent scenario at 25 years, continuing the assumed funding that would also come to the region, federal, as well as state revenue or highway user revenue funds equate to approximately $36.7 billion. Next slide. I'll orient you to this map that now presents the 6/10 cent at 20 years. Just a couple of high-level notes about the projects contained herein. We'll start with the SR30. You'll see depicted here as part of this scenario, the full construction of the center segment of SR30, so between loops 303 and loop 202. You'll see an interim facility being built for the western segment of 30 between 85 and the 303. And then you'll see scoping and potential right-of-way preservation for the eastern segment of SR30 between loop 202 and I-17 or the Durango curve. You'll see two inclusions of light rail extensions in this scenario, one on the I-10 West, another, the West Phoenix LPA to be determined. You'll see also one streetcar extension out into Mesa and connecting to the light rail system on Main. You'll also see 3 bus rapid transit routes in this particular alternative, 35th Avenue, Scottsdale Road, Rural Road, as well as Arizona Avenue and Country Club. Next slide. You'll see at the bottom of this slide the regional balance calculations, again looking at projected population out to 2050, and then evaluating the composition of project investments between the 3 subregions. You'll see the regional balance allocations represented at the bottom of this slide. Next slide. Just some fast facts about the 6/10 cent scenario. You'll see the composition of modal investments in our donut chart, miles of high-level investment here, and also the programmatic investment. I'll note here that the major difference in the programmatic assumptions here is the inclusion now of an arterial widening program as part of this particular scenario. Next slide. All right, I will introduce you now to the half-cent 25-year alternative. Composition of transit projects is the same here. The difference you'll note for SR 30 is the full build of the center segment, the 303 to the 202, as well as the 202 to the 17, the eastern segment. So full build of that facility, and then the interim facility, interim condition facility for the western segment from 85 to the 303. A few more arterial projects in this particular alternative, and a continuation, of course, of 5 more years worth of programmatic investment. Next slide. I'll also orient you to the bottom of this slide now, where we also just display for you the regional balance associated with the programmatic investments and project investments in this particular scenario. Next slide. Looking at the fast facts here, you'll see the programmatic investments are larger. That's, of course, to accommodate the extra 5 years of duration of this particular scenario. Again, you'll see an arterial widening program, as was consistent with the previous scenario and in reflection of the feedback that we received from our policymakers as well. Next slide. So the feedback that we received from Transportation Policy Committee last Friday certainly seemed more interest in that 25-year duration at a half cent. A lot of good discussion occurred at the TPC meeting on Friday. It seems like momentum may be building for that particular scenario. As we prepare for our Transportation Policy Committee next week, what we are focused on is the following agenda. Mayor Gallego, as chairwoman of TPC, has invited a few folks to talk about stakeholders, to talk about the regional importance of these investments. We will present the public engagement findings for this level of outreach. We'll discuss and review further some of the assumptions associated with the work at hand, talk about phasing of projects over the course of this 25-year now horizon, and then also continue to seek direction as we work towards the development of a preferred scenario and its components. Madam Chairwoman, that completes my presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions and entertain discussion.
Thank you, Audra. I'd like to open it to membership for any questions or comments.
Hey, Madam Chair.
Yes, Scott.
This is Scott Smith. Hey, Audra, I have a question on the timing of projects, and maybe I didn't understand the slide where you said that the projects that would be eligible have to initiate on July 1. Is that across the board, or is that you use an example, arterial streets? Is that just related to that one item?
Madam Chairwoman, Mr. Smith, good question. So, some of our bigger projects that have environmental work already funding programmed to carry that out, those are projects that will continue, and some of those include light rail extensions, as noted. I think for our purposes, this is for the specific arterial projects, notably where there is a reimbursement program at MAG as part of the ALCP. Those projects cannot initiate until the sales tax initiates, which is January 1st of 2026. And of course, all of those arterial projects will also be in different phases across the 20 or 25-year term.
Okay, so you would assume that, for example, the rail projects, which obviously I'm very interested in, could go on, understanding that cities, since they're not in the current plan, would be able to front load planning activities and environmental activities prior to that, and those would be eligible for a reimbursement if they're in the new plan, if it's approved. Am I assuming that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from the membership? All right, hearing none, this item is on the agenda for information and discussion only. Our next item is community support for strengthening the regional response to homelessness. MAG Deputy Executive Director Amy St. Peter will introduce this item.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for this opportunity to present. It's a pleasure to be back with you this month. I'm also excited today to let you know that I've invited Carla Vargas Jasa. She is the president and CEO of the United Way. She'll be joining the presentation today to talk about the significant partnership that we do have in place to address and to strengthen these regional efforts in homelessness. Next slide, please. So since last fall, we've been working very closely through our internal team with our external stakeholders and partners, such as those that you see on the screen from the Regional Collaborative on Homelessness. This very much includes the United Way. So while you've seen me present each month, please know each week and actually each day, we're working very closely with a whole range of partners, such as the ones that you see on the screen now, and many, many more throughout the entire region to look at how we can strengthen the regional response to homelessness and assist all of our communities in the process. So with these partners, the United Way in particular has significant expertise and influence with the nonprofit community, the business community, as well as with the local foundation. So they bring a lot to the table in these efforts, as do all of our partners. As we start to develop the action plan, then the United Way is working very closely with us because they have, as one of the cornerstones to their new 5-year plan, homelessness as a key focus. And so we're working together very closely to make sure that we can maximize and lift up each other's efforts. And at this point now, I would love to introduce you to Carla. She joined the United Way as our president and CEO in June of 2019. And that's after 20 years of working with the Orange County, the United Way, where she helped to launch the United to End Homelessness initiative. Since she's taken over the helm at the United Way here, she has launched significant community engagement, particularly as they've responded to the pandemic. And in March of 2021, they've launched MC 2026, their new 5-year plan that includes homelessness really as a key cornerstone. Next slide, please. And at this point, I'd love to turn it over to Carla. Carla, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Amy, and good afternoon, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you today and really appreciate you allowing me to join you, even if virtually, and certainly look forward to the opportunity to meet you in person when we can do that again. And very pleased to share with you the commitment and partnership of Valley of the Sun United Way around developing solutions to homelessness throughout the county, and to share that we have absolutely been working in lockstep along with MAG in developing the regional plan that has come before you. And just by way of a little bit of background, Valley of the Sun United Way has served this community on a countywide basis since 1925. And in fact, we just recently celebrated our 95th anniversary of impacting the community. And it was at that anniversary event at which we launched our 5-year impact plan that Amy referenced, MC 2026. And our service area is all of Maricopa County, as I said, and so we're really pleased to partner with and to support all leaders in this region driving towards needed community solutions. And throughout these 95 years, we have always, as United Way, partnered with the community, including the corporate community, the philanthropic community, the nonprofit community, and the public sector to make sure that we're addressing the most pressing needs. And that could never have been more true over this past, 14 to 15 months that we've all experienced together. And it absolutely guides our work as we move forward with our new 5-year plan in support of community needs that our community has identified. And just by way of personal background, Amy alluded to this previously. I did join just under 2 years this community after being with Orange County United Way in Orange County, California for just about 20 years. And while I was there, I helped to develop 10-year community level goals at the county level, again, similar to here, to help change community conditions in partnership with other regional leaders and businesses. And in that community, similar to in this one, it was about 7 years ago that we really started to see an alarming growth in those experiencing homelessness, and not just at our county seat in front of the Santa Ana courthouse, similar to certainly in terms of where you might see the regionalization, the concentration here, but really across the community. And because of that, as we launched a new 10-year plan there, Orange County United Way for the first time adopted housing and homelessness as an area of focus for that United Way. And one of the first things that we did was to partner with the University of California, Irvine, the county, the Association of California Cities, Orange County, which is a body very similar to MAG here today, to actually conduct a cost study on homelessness to be able to really identify and determine what was the cost on our community to allow or to manage homelessness, as opposed to helping to create solutions to house people and to help to address issues that might have led people to become homeless. And what we found in partnership with the municipalities, the healthcare sector, and the nonprofit community is that on an annual basis, it was costing at minimum $299 million to our community to manage homelessness. And we also found that in some cases, on an individual basis, that could cost up to $300,000 to the community for someone to be homeless, based upon the number of experiences they had with, for example, law enforcement, the healthcare sector, and the nonprofit community. And so because of that, as you mentioned, we launched United to End Homelessness in partnership with the business sector, the philanthropic sector, and the public sector to really help to bring to bear community solutions to address homelessness. And one that's very similar to what you have in your plan here today was around landlord engagement. That United Way there actually helped to engage private market owners, landlords, to make their units available for voucher types of programs and help to provide supportive services. We engaged private philanthropy to help with move-in costs, and to help to ensure that people were successful once they moved into their homes. And that's just one example based upon my personal experience of what can come to bear in partnership with the public, private, and the nonprofit sector. And many of you may know that Value the Sun United Way has focused on housing and homelessness as an issue of focus for many years, and in fact was one of the first United Ways, if not the first in the country, to actually do so and to focus on housing and homelessness so specifically. And I'll just share as a few examples over the past 5 years, Value the Sun United Way, with corporate and philanthropic donations, has invested more than $22 million into programs in partnership with nonprofits to prevent homelessness for families and individuals, through rental and utility assistance, to help to support emergency shelter, and to help ensure that people experiencing chronic homelessness can access the services that they need. And we, as I said, we work across the county, and so we've had the honor of working with nonprofit organizations, including Ascend in Chandler, A New Leaf in Mesa, Tempe and Avondale, and organizations that really support the whole community, including CAST, Community Bridges, UMOM, and the Human Services Campus. And as I'm not standing before you, but sitting here behind my screen, I want to also emphasize to you that our board of directors, which is truly a cross-sector of business leaders and community leaders, including our incoming board chair, John Graham, who's a longtime building industry leader, are absolutely adamantly supportive of helping to address homelessness, and will put their work and their time behind it. Many years ago, before I got here, they actually helped establish an endowment fund to help to support the building of a number of permanent supportive housing units with Native American connections and Arizona Housing, and they still talk about it to this day. And I'll share, it's incredibly important to our corporate partners and our employees who work within our corporate partners, who donate funding and volunteer their time. And so I can assure you it is absolutely a critical issue to our community. And we know that it's important to our community because we asked our community over this past year. And what this slide shows is actually a set of survey results from last February of 2020, where we asked the community to tell us which issues they felt were most important. So I like to call it pre-COVID. And then we relaunched the survey, as I like to call it post-COVID, but it's really mid-COVID because it was in July, to ask them to rank those issues as well. And as you can see, pre-COVID, affordable housing and homelessness were number one and number two in people's minds as issues that people felt needed attention, that United Way should focus on. And post-COVID, mid-COVID, the same, number one and number two, affordable housing and homelessness. And that truly, that was echoed across the board with all of the input sessions that we held over these past 12 months that led to the development of our MC 2026 plan across the board. Every single input session that we had, community engagement, business engagement, housing and homelessness was the #1 issue that people felt needed attention across this community. And so that led to our MC 2026 plan, which Amy noted. So if we just flip to the next slide, this slide actually depicts that for you. We have now launched a new ways reorganizing all of our efforts around 5-year goals in the areas of health, housing and homelessness, education, and workforce development. And you can see on here, our goal is to help this community achieve reducing homelessness by 50%. Certainly, we don't want anyone to be homeless. We'd like to achieve functional zero, but we also know that we need to have measurable, attainable goals and build in strategies to reach those goals. And each one of these areas, we've identified strategies in the short term, the long term, that align very clearly with the plan that the collaborative has developed that you've seen before you, and that we will be putting our resources behind, our voice behind, and our energies and partnership behind. And we look forward to working with you on that. And so we're very excited to be able to work in partnership with all of you. Very much look forward to you knowing that we're here to support you and to bring our resources to bear, our voice to bear, our partners to bear, and our business partnerships to bear. We believe that if we have the right opportunity to share a shared message about the right solutions, not only in partnership with those here around this virtual table, but we are building partnerships with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, for example, to share the needs to have the business sector adopt these goals with us and help to drive the solutions needed with us. And housing and homelessness will be just one of those areas, and we're looking forward to being able to work together on that. So all that to say, we are thrilled to be here with you. We are thrilled to continue to be a part of this partnership. If we flip to the next slide, these are just some depictions of the numbers of people that we're working with, including our nonprofit partners, our corporate partners, our donors, and our volunteers. And we should have MAG up here and GPEC and Valley Leadership and many of the other regional organizations that we're building partnerships with to together address these county level goals. So I thank you for having me. Again, you can know that you can count on our support, our partnership, our voice, and our resources, and very much look forward to continuing to drive this work together for the solutions that are needed for Maricopa County.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carla. And Madam Chair, Carla, thank you so much. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to work with you and are excited to continue this partnership as we seek to strengthen that regional response to homelessness. Thank you as well for speaking at our capstone event tomorrow. Just as of this morning, we've reached our max capacity of 300 people. And so we have a number of elected officials, you as city manager.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. I think the quality of the speakers, such as you, is really part of what's helping to bring people to the event. So thank you so much for speaking there. Carla will be on a panel around the impact and the importance of partnerships, because that is really critical to how we're going to be successful in these efforts. Also want to acknowledge and thank Andrew Ching and Crystal Dykes for moderating panels at the event, and many of you are also registered to attend. So we are running a wait list right now, but please do know that we'll be able to offer the plenary sessions in streaming video, so anyone can watch those. We'll also have a recording of those plenary sessions in the Arizona Town Hall. We'll be publishing a report on the findings of that event tomorrow. So we're very excited to be able to undertake this effort with all of you. Very eager to dive into the results and the feedback that will be coming out of the event tomorrow. We'll be using that as well as our close partnership with you and with our partners like the United Way, to be able to start to find what are the tactics then that can best serve our communities and our region. We have some tactics that have been offered and proposed. We'll be starting to review those tomorrow, identify opportunities to strengthen those tactics, as well as identify new tactics that we need to have on our radar and really be able to dig into over these next few months as the action plan is developed in close collaboration with all of our communities and with all of our partners. So I do want to thank you. Please know that there's a tremendous amount of support for these regional efforts moving forward. And we have partners like Carla who stand ready to assist in all aspects of this work. That does conclude our presentation for today. We would be happy to take any questions or comments that you might have, Madam Chair, or members of the committee. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments for the membership?
Madam Chair, it's Ed.
Yes, Ed.
Yeah, I just want to thank Carla. I'm actually have the privilege of serving on the board of the United Way, and Carla has brought great energy to to the collaborative efforts. And so just would encourage others of you to reach out to United Way as you have ideas and opportunities for partnerships. Going way back, Maricopa County, Phoenix State Housing Department, and United Way were part of a collaborative probably 5 years ago around the Human Service Campus and some changes there. So United Way is a great resource to bring in the private sector collaborations, which we and our elected officials value. So thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Ed. It's my pleasure. And I do want to echo Ed's comment. Do not hesitate to reach out. We are very much looking forward to supporting everybody in their efforts and also in reaching these shared goals that we all have together for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the membership? All right, seeing none, this item was on the agenda for information and discussion only. So next on our agenda is a legislative update. MAG's Policy and Government Relations Director, Nathan Pryor, will provide a report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the MAG Management Committee. Today, I give two brief updates on some federal developments that we're tracking. The first one is regarding the Biden infrastructure proposal, also known as the American Jobs Plan. You may have seen this week media reports, negotiations with GOP Senate leadership have reached an impasse, just couldn't bridge the gap on dollar amounts, although we did see some concessions for some of the pay-fors from the administration, but no agreement clearly. Now the administration apparently will be pivoting to bipartisan negotiations with House and Senate members. And it may just come to the point where the administration will work with Democrats and go without a bipartisan proposal. So more to come on that, and we'll keep tracking those developments. There was a surface transportation reauthorization bill introduced on June 4th. That came from the House Democrats. They introduced a 5-year, $547 billion surface transportation reauthorization bill titled the Invest Act, Invest in America Act, investing in a new vision for the environment and surface transportation in America. This bill proposal is very similar to what was offered last year and did not gain Republican support. Just a couple of notes as proposed over the life of the bill. We would see Federal Highway Administration receiving funding that's 34% over current baseline, Federal Transit Administration receiving 59% above current baseline, and also a strong emphasis on rail via the Federal Rail Administration. As we all noted, during the spring months of this year, there was a process for submitting projects to congressional offices. That also has been included in the reauthorization bill, seeing $92 million in projects for Arizona, 10 of those projects in the MAG region for over $33 million. And my last important note on the reauthorization bill, we've been reporting to you for a number of years now that the current funding formulas, some of the methodologies have been pegged to census information back to 2009 and even data census information pegged back to 2000. Obviously, as a fast-growing state in a fast-growing region, that is a problem. So we've worked hard with Congressman Stanton. He did offer some language last year. He did include that language again this year, requiring Federal Highway Administration in consultation with state DOTs to provide recommendations on how to revise the apportionment methodology, really looking at data-driven or equitable apportionment of funding. So if you're in those conversations with the congressman or under other congressional offices, if you can point to that provision, section 1606, and we can send this out to the intergovs, that we are in support of that. It's been too long since the federal funding formulas have been updated, and states like Arizona and this region continue to be hurt under the continued methodology. So Madam Chair, that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the membership for Nathan? All right, this item is on the agenda for information and discussion only. Our next item is the election of officers. Each June, the positions of chair and vice chair are elected by the management committee. According to the MAG committee operating policies and procedures approved by the MAG Regional Council, the chair works with members to nominate a manager for the vice chair position, and the current vice chair is nominated for the position of chair. The positions serve one-year terms. Does any member of the management committee have questions? Okay, is there a motion to elect a chair and a vice chair?
Julie,
Yes.
this is Chris. First of all, before we do that, I'm sure on behalf of all of us want to express our appreciation to you for your great leadership during these interesting times. You've conducted these meetings very well. And then we gave you double duty to work on the Prop 400 extension too. So thank you for your service throughout this entire time. It has been remarkable. You've done a great job of managing these meetings. So thank you there for that. I wanted to express my appreciation for that. But I also want to make the motion. I think it's appropriate at this time to make a motion that Andrew Ching from Tempe would be the new chair and Ed Zerker from Phoenix would be the vice chair. Hopefully I have that right. That would be my motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Hi, this is Jeff in Peoria, and I'll second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion of the motion? Okay, Melissa, can you take a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Management Committee. I'll call your name. Please indicate how you vote. Bryant Powell.
Yes.
Thank you. Shirlene Panilla.
Yes.
Thank you. Roger Klingler.
Aye.
Thank you. Joshua Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Crystal Dykes.
Aye.
Thank you. Brent Billingsley.
Aye.
Thank you. Grady Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. Patrick Banger.
Aye.
Thank you. Jack Friedline. Jeff Kulaga.
Aye.
Thank you. Matthew Williams.
Aye.
Thank you. Joy Rich.
Aye.
Thank you. Chris Brady.
Aye.
Thank you. Jill Kymack.
Aye.
Thank you. Jeff Tyne.
Aye.
Thank you. Ed Zerker.
Aye.
Thank you. John Cross.
Aye.
Thank you. Scott Smith. Brad Lundahl.
Aye.
Oh, thank you, Scott.
Aye.
Thank you, Brad. Mike Frazier.
Aye.
Thank you. Andrew Ching.
Yes.
Thank you. Jean Blackman.
Yes.
Thank you. Jody Rooney.
Chairwoman, per review of the MAG Committee Operating Policies and Procedures, ADOT will abstain on this item.
Thank you. And is there anyone that I missed aside from the chair?
Reyes and Tollison, who showed up late, votes aye.
Thank you, Reyes. And Madam Chair, how do you vote?
Aye. Enthusiastically.
Thank you. That carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, I too am enthusiastic.
We can tell. Thanks, Reyes. All right. Item number 9 is request for future agenda items. Are there any requests by membership for an item on a future agenda?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Brad?
Yeah, this is Brad in Scottsdale. I was hoping we could maybe get an update on, I guess, MAG's plans on returning to in-person meetings, if folks are interested in that or not interested. I'm fine either way if we want to stay doing these remotely for managers or hybrid. I think it's about time we maybe start thinking about that for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, Eric, if you wanted to just speak to that briefly, since I know we don't meet in July.
Yeah, we plan to have in-person meetings starting in August, or August meeting cycles.
And are you anticipating those being hybrid or full in person?
I think there'd be hybrid in the beginning anyway.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any announcements from the membership?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Andrew.
just wanted to echo the comments that were made by Chris Brady, thanking you for your leadership over the last year as the chair. You have raised the bar significantly, and I'm looking forward to taking the reins in this new position. Thank you for the vote of confidence from my peers today, and I look forward, based on the announcement from MAG, that this will be in person to some extent starting in August. It would be really nice to see everybody in person and to be able to preside over this very important group during that period of time. So thank you so much for your leadership. I think this is a time where if we were in person, you will have received or would have received a plaque. But it's
And
going
look
to
at
have to. Oh, there it is.
I was going to say you can't see for the background, but thank you.
Very
So
good.
just to echo on that, Andrew, and to everyone, I really wanted to say, you know, I'm glad to turn the gavel over, but I really did enjoy this experience. I wanted to thank all of the MAG staff, Eric, Audra, John, Nathan, Melissa in particular. I've learned a lot during the last year and have a much greater appreciation for the work that you're tasked with. And it's certainly a quality group. But I also wanted to just acknowledge that, you know, our region deals with some really tough issues. And I'm proud to be part of this dedicated group of public servants. So with that, unless there's anything else, comments or questions from the committee, I think our
Madam
meeting
Chair,
is
if I
adjourned.
could.
Oh, Scott,
Madam-
yes.
Just one thing, you know, once again, I'd echo, I really appreciated your leadership. And sometimes your incredibly insightful comments and questions. But I guess in celebration of a transition to Andrew, we also have a transition. Last night, for the first time, the Tempe streetcar actually ran on the streetcar alignment. So, you know, good transitions and good things happening. We were really excited. And it was amazing at midnight in Tempe, Andrew, to see people along the side of the street actually applauding as the streetcar inches its way down the new streetcar line. So, good stuff coming up in Tempe and for the region. So, and congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, with that, our business is now concluded and our meeting is adjourned. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Julie.